Welcome back to the iSportsman video tutorial series. My name is Brian Batts and I'm the project manager for iSportsman. And today we're going to talk about acknowledgements and where you can use them and how to use them and how to set them up. So we're going to step through everything. So when you're done with this video, you are going to be an expert. Alright, so what is an acknowledgement? Acknowledgements are just text or images that you want to display to a user and require that user to agree to it or acknowledge it in some way before they can continue with whatever they're doing, whether that is to purchase a permit, to register for your site, or to check in and out of an area. All right, let me show you what an acknowledgement is from the check in and out perspective. Say I'm a user here. I'm in my iSportsman profile account. I'm going to check into an area. Say I check in today. Now I'm going to select an area. You're going to see this pop up. I hereby acknowledge that I am in fact in spawn. Sure. All right, here's another acknowledgement here. Image on the left, text on the right. Prescribed burn. I accept. And that was when I selected an activity. Then I'm able to continue and then select my that was when I selected my area. Now I'm going to select an activity, deer rifle. This is an example of one where you attach an acknowledgement to an activity. In this case, I say I will wear hunter orange. Yes, I accept. And here you can see all the acknowledgements that I acknowledged prior to me finishing my check-in, which I will not do right now. I will not finish that. Let's get back to the admin. All right, so now we know what an acknowledgement is. Where can you use it? Where can we have these acknowledgements that pop up for these users to acknowledge? There's three main areas. There's registration, permit selection, check-in and out. During the registration, it is something that they see. We call them triggers, a registration trigger. So it'll come up prior to their registration. So if you require a user to agree to something prior to registering, you can do so. If you want to have a user acknowledge something when they select a certain permit type, when they're purchasing a permit or issuing themselves a permit, you can do so. When you want a user to acknowledge certain things when they're checking in or when they're checking out, you can do that as well. And there's four main trigger areas within a check-in and out that you can do so. One is parent area selection, activity, and game selection. All four of those. Now, for those who don't know what parent area is, it's basically like if you were to, your installation or state were to have regions, and in those regions you would have sub areas. The parent area would be the region, and then the sub area would be the area that they would end up selecting or whatever to check into. So if you want to show an acknowledgement for certain regions or parent areas, you could do so. If you want to show an acknowledgement for certain selected areas, you could do so. Same for activity and game. Okay. So when I showed you the example, you saw one acknowledgement when I selected an activity, and I believe you saw two acknowledgements when I selected the area. So you can have any number of acknowledgements to any number of these four trigger areas. All right, accepted acknowledgements. What is that? So let's basically what that is we retain a history of the users who acknowledge these acknowledgements or accept them. Accepted acknowledgements. So you can see in this case, my user here, Brian Batts, has agreed or acknowledged these acknowledgements at these times. So you can see when they've acknowledged them, what check-in, what specific check-in, what were they doing. You could actually drill down and see what they were checking in to do. So at any time, if a user were to say, yes, I didn't agree to that, you can say, well, yes, you did. I see it right here, and you did it at this time from this location. So that's a very useful thing. We are a pretty litigious country, so you might need this one day. Hopefully not. Okay. All right, let's get into how do you actually create an acknowledgement. All right, so you go to admin, you click acknowledgements. Now I'm going to step into one that I've already created here, so you don't have to be bored with all the small stuff. Let's go from the top down. I'll explain what each of these fields do. Enabled. yes, this is enabled. This is actually active and is currently being displayed to users who are checking in to certain areas. This is used for those, you can set this to no. Let's say you have an acknowledgement that's seasonal, but you don't want to delete it, you just want to disable it during certain times of the year. You could do that here. Just click no, and then when you're done, go down here and click save. Alright, so let's re-enable that. Alright, this right here, of course, your name the acknowledgement to something that is intuitive, something that makes sense to the user, not to the user, but to the administration. So when they're in this list here, they can say, oh, there it is, I recognize it. And then there's availability. What does this mean? This is only for the administration. The users don't see this. It basically states that where is this acknowledgement going to be visible? Is it when I'm setting up my areas? Yes. Activities? Yes. Game? Oh, we don't need it for game. When we're setting up deer, that should be just on the activity. So I'll show you what that means. So let's uncheck game. I'm going to click save. Let's go act like we're setting up our game. I'm going to go over here to rabbit. And we're going to add acknowledgement to it. As you can see, I do not see that acknowledgement listed here. Now let's change that. Let's say, oh, we do want it to be visible when we're setting up our game. So we select game, check in, rabbit, go down here, add acknowledgement, and there you go. Now it's accessible. So it's just a basically the availability means it's used as a means of categorizing how your acknowledgements are going to be used. Okay, down here, don't be scared by this thing right here. All this is just it's called CK Editor. It's a WYSIWYG, which stands for what you see is what you get. It's very easy to use. It's just a way that you can change and build your acknowledgements in a nice professional manner. You can, as you can see here, I have some orange background. Let's go ahead and change that just for fun. Let's change it to red. Yeah, there we go. So you can just make it look good, and so it's presented to the user in a nice way. You can also add pictures. To do that is pretty simple. You just come here. There's a little button right there. It looks like an image. Click it. Browse your server. These are images that are already available to you based on whoever has access to upload these images to your server. As you can see here, I've already added several folders. I have it pretty organized here. All my acknowledgement images go in one folder. All my permits images go in another. So you can see here I've already added the hunter orange to it. Here we go. So I've already added it. So that's how you do it. All right. So we've added our image. We've added some text. Now, so there's the telephony text. What does that mean? So for those clients who have the telephony service from My Sportsman, you will want to know that if you were to have fancy text up here, if there's a long 2 paragraphs up here, you'll want to put a short version down here, because when they're on the telephone, they're not going to sit there and listen to 3 paragraphs of a text-to-speech engine going through every single word, and it'll take basically 5 minutes. Also, you don't want to do this. Let's say you have a list here. Let's see, there's 1, 2, blah, blah. When you do stuff like this, it breaks. It doesn't make sense if this were to be read by a robot or a text-to-speech engine. So when you use lists in your acknowledgements, make sure that you have something that is written with no formatting. So just plain sentences with commas and periods. So that's all you want down here. So just be careful when you're building fancy acknowledgements for your users. All right. See, down here, this is where you can apply your acknowledgement to either areas, activities, game, and even a permit. In this case, this where hunter orange is only really used when you're doing hunting activities. It's not specific to any area. It doesn't matter what area you're going to. If you're deer rifle, deer archery, or hunting moose, we want you to wear orange. So To add it to an area, you could do that just by clicking this button here, and likewise for activity in game. All right, so that's how you build an acknowledgement. All right, so there are special cases, and I won't go into how you can do this portion of it, although I will touch on it. So your acknowledgements, let's say that you want to only display non-toxic shot when dove hunters are in a certain area. Only when they're in areas A, but not when they're in areas B or C. You can do that. You can also designate, all right, I only want to display a particular acknowledgement if a person is a certain age. You can do it for those who have or who are checking into deer stands. And that's similar to add an acknowledgement to an area. You can add it or associate it with an asset type. Now, not every customer will have that feature where they can select deer stands, duck blinds, and so forth. But for those who do, you'll be able to add it to the asset type just like you can an area or a parent area. You can also just show an acknowledgement for those of a specific customer type. Say, I only want to display this to active duty personnel, or I only want to display this acknowledgement to non-residents. You could do that as well. And these are all done via, and I want you to check out another video of ours that is to be coming out called Rule Books, Rules and Schedules. And it goes into depth of how to really kind of pinpoint or filter your acknowledgements to your exact target audience, so that people who are residents don't have to click on something to acknowledge something that isn't necessary. You can also do it by schedule. Like, I only want this acknowledgement to come out in the afternoon as like a reminder. Make sure you check out at 6 o'clock or whatever. You can also do an acknowledgement for only those who are missing a safety brief. Or you can say, all right, for those who have a safety brief, you can present it. Same thing goes with a permit. So you're checking in and you want to display an acknowledgement only for those with a certain permit or a certain permit group. You can do that as well. So check out that video called Rule Books, Rules, and Schedules. If you really get down into the nitty-gritty, you can get, there's an infinite combinations. And that's why I'm not going into it right now, but it involves using rules and rule books, which is another book in itself. Thanks again, guys, and I think let's make sure that we're going over everything, and yes, we're done. So, see you next time. Take care.